So the Book of Wisdom was called alternatively the Wisdom of Solomon. So Wisdom of Solomon. But Sirach is differently known as Ecclesiasticus. So we have Ecclesiastes in the Old Testament, but we also have Ecclesiasticus. And the same with the Book of Wisdom. With the Book of Wisdom, this is not in the Protestant Old Testament canon. And again, it's not recognized as divinely inspired by the Jewish believers, but it is still well respected and held as part of scriptures by the Catholics and Orthodox. So let's read two quick verses. Okay, let me give you first the intro. The wisdom of Ben Sira derives its title from the author Yeshua, or Jesus, son of Eliezer, son of Sira. This seems to be the earliest title of the book. The designation Liber Ecclesiasticus, meaning church book, appended to some Greek and Latin manuscripts, is perhaps due to the extensive use the church made of this book in presenting moral teaching to catechumens and to the faithful. The author, a sage who lived in Jerusalem, was thoroughly imbued with love for the wisdom tradition and also for the law, priesthood, temple, and divine worship. Written in Hebrew in the early years of the 2nd century BC, the book was finished by circa or about 175, so 175 BC. Okay, I just want to read two quick verses which to me were the most powerful again when it comes to the supernatural aspects. So we're not covering just any topic, right, or any topics for tonight. We're just dealing with the Apocrypha books, and I think I'll cover 3 instead of 1. But they have to do with something supernatural. So gods, demons, watchers, fallen gods, idols, things of that sort. When it comes to the book of Sirach or Ecclesiasticus, two quick verses. Chapter 16, verse 7. He, meaning God, he was not pacified toward the giants of all time, who revolted in their strength. Okay, again, this is a very short verse, a very short passage, but I'm glad how the author is mentioning giants here. So God was not pacified. God didn't want to just look with folded arms and like, oh, well, it is what it is. No, God wanted to intervene and punish these giants, these Nephilim, because they were an abomination. So God was not pacified toward the giants of all time, who revolted in their strength. And as we know, they were way more stronger than people. Not unbeatable, because David beat Goliath by using skill and wisdom, not strength. But still, there were, imagine if I'm 6 foot, imagine if someone comes that is maybe 8 or 9 foot tall. They're bigger, they're wider, their limbs are way stronger than mine. I would be scared too. And God decided to intervene. So I love that about God, because there's a point of time when it comes to every nation where He draws the line, says no more, no more. And in chapter 17, even more powerful passage. So Sirach chapter 17, verse 17. He, God, He divided the nations of the whole earth. For every nation he appointed a ruler, but Israel is the Lord's portion. Now, we mentioned this passage so many times on our channel in the last 9 months since we began this channel. One of the most important passages for us and for this channel is not just Genesis 6, it's not just Psalm 82, it's not just Paul dealing with these so-called thrones, dominions, authorities, powers, and so on, but it's also Deuteronomy 32, verses 8 and 9. In those passages, God says that God divided the earth and gave it as allotment to his sons. So these princes and principalities, who then later, as we read in the rest of the Old Testament, they rebelled and they didn't do their job well. So God decided to come in the council of these fallen beings, principalities, and judge them. And the author of the book of Sirach is confirming this so-called Deuteronomy 32 worldview. Again, if you check Deuteronomy 32 verses 8 and 9, this is what the author of Sirach in chapter 17, verse 17 says. God divided the nations of the whole earth. For every nation, he appointed a ruler. So this cannot be a human ruler. This is not just a human ruler. Before even God dispersed people throughout the globe, God had all these principalities, spiritual beings. And in many times when you see an evil or a wicked human ruler, behind him there's even more wicked and evil spiritual principality that is working together with that ruler, which I think, well, I don't think, I see easily it applies nowadays with all our wicked evil events in the world, led sometimes by the evil, powerful, well-known people. Could it be coincidence that some people come with such um, monstrous plans and schemes how to hurt others? No, it's usually because they're just encouraged by the evil power that is behind them to come up with such schemes. So he divided the nations of the whole earth. For every nation he appointed a ruler, but Israel is the Lord's portion. So while the other fallen principalities were above other nations, God chose to keep Jacob, which is, or the second name we use for Jacob is Israel, as his portion. And when other principalities fell and sin spread in the whole world, what is Jesus doing and what is the church doing through the gospel? Reclaiming the land, spreading the truth, bringing the light in this dark world, and reclaiming it back to God, to Jesus through the gospel, right? So Deuteronomy 32 is a very important passage if you're a believer in general, not just for tonight, not just for this topic, but in general, right?